welcome to episode 9 of PitchCatch. This week we have 2 questions and a television pitch, which is great because we've never had a television pitch before. Alright, so let's get to it. We'll start with our questions and we'll get to our pitch. Our first question comes from Glenn on Twitter, and his question is, can you please address the use of profanity in screenplays and creative techniques to avoid when necessary? And I did address this in an article on WriteForHollywood.com. It's an article entitled Why Gratuitous Sex, Violence, and Nudity Won't Help Your Screenplay, so you might want to check that out. So I'm just going to go and address the creative techniques to avoid when necessary. Now, the term creative techniques is kind of vague, so the way I'm going to address it is basically techniques that new writers tend to rely on in order to be creative or different or stand out. Really, it's just an indication of lazy writing and trying too hard. Characters talking to themselves. Whether they're talking to themselves, talking in the mirror, talking to a dead person, to God, a grave. It's all exposition. Have that person talk to a friend, a confidant. Do something instead. Voiceover is another technique that young writers tend to rely on. Try to do everything but use voiceover, and then if your story cannot be effectively told without it, then put it in. It was all a dream resolution, or the Deus ex machina. Resolve your problems organically through character and story. Don't swoop in and say, oh, it was all a dream, everything's okay now. Flashbacks is another creative technique young writers love to use, and any script reader hates to see it. It's usually an indication that you don't have enough backstory, your structure is misaligned, started your story in the wrong place. Maybe you need to start it further back. Directing the director, things like cut tos and smash tos and match cuts and zoom to, pan left, zoom in, close ups. Directors hate it, actors hate it, anybody reading a screenplay hates it. The only time you should use it is when it's absolutely necessary, that there's no other way that you can describe your story without putting that in there. Rileys or actor directions. A good actor will put in their own interpretation. If you're not effectively explaining what's happening in the scene without it, you're not doing your job as a writer. Question number 2 comes from Val from Twitter. Her question is, how do I get the opportunity to pitch my script? There are tons of opportunities to pitch. The more you engage in the screenwriting community, the more opportunities you will find. Pitch Fest, one online called Virtual Pitch Fest. There's also the Great American Pitch Fest. Inktip is a good resource for pitching. And there are contests that will give you an opportunity to get yourself in front of producers and executives if you win. Go to film festival, writers meetup, social events, screening. Go online. You can take advantage of IMDb. Just contact people yourself. Another opportunity is right here on PitchCatch. You can submit your pitch to me. Now for the pitch. I'm so excited that we get to do a TV pitch. There's a lot of things that are different about pitching for television as opposed to pitching for a feature. Feature log lines, obviously, you're pitching a concise story that takes place within the span of 2 hours. A television pitch, you're pitching an idea or a concept that is going to have longevity over 60 to 100 episodes. Our pitch comes from RD, who is on Twitter via WriteForHollywood.com. His pitch is called Black Gold. Hi Yolanda, here's my pitch for an hour-long cable drama. Set in a 1970s suburban New York town ruled by corruption, the co-owner of a gas and tow company struggles against a ruthless competitor in order to provide for his wife and young child. So what's good about this? It's short to the point. He included a very brief introduction, told me what it was, an hour-long cable drama, has a title, Black Gold, and a log line that was very concise. His logline told us the setting, 1970s New York suburbs, told us the kind of atmosphere as a town of corruption, who the protagonist is. He's a co-owner of a tow and gas company. The conflict is against a ruthless competitor. So what could be improved? Now the title Black Gold actually really did grab my interest, but it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be about. To me, Black Gold suggests that it's about oil mining, maybe in the Midwest during the gold rush period. Once you explained what the concept was about, there was a disconnect for me. I would have liked to have seen a synopsis because I wanted more information as to what I was going to see every week and understand a little bit more about your concept. The way you phrase your logline hints at genre and tone, and the current phrasing of your logline's kind of sleepy. I don't know, maybe that's the tone you're going for. What's the drama in this show? I know there's rivalry between the two competing companies and then there's the corrupt town, but what exactly happens? Is there violence? Is there game playing? Is there bribery? Criminal activity? Is it like a mob situation? Is this like Vegas or Boardwalk Empire? Your verbs are pretty good. You got struggles and provides. They could be a little stronger yet, but one thing I would like to know is how he struggles. What are the problems he faces every week? Hook is really important here. Again, I think it stems back to the disconnect between the title and the logline, because your title has a strong hook, your logline does not. The question that I have is, what is special about this? Why would viewers tune in week after week? To have a story that's about two competing towing companies, it's an interesting take. It's never been done before, but I'm not sure that it's compelling. So what is it about this conflict that's compelling to you? Because obviously you thought it was compelling enough to write about, so bring that out. Providing for his family suggests this image of him working hard, coming home, bringing home the bacon to his family, keeping his kids in line, and arguing with his wife. Now I don't know if that's the kind of imagery you want a reader to conjure up when they read your logline, but that's the imagery that I get. Why is it necessary that it takes place in 1970s suburban New York? First thing that comes to mind as a producer is it's expensive to produce a period piece. Shows like Boardwalk Empire or Mad Men are set in those eras for a reason. Boardwalk Empire is about prohibition. It's about the criminal activity around mobsters, and has to take place at that time to tell that story. Mad Men takes place in the 60s because it's about advertising at a time when it's supposed to be innocent. And everybody in the show is advertising who they wish to be as opposed to who they really are. And so the show itself is making a social statement. That's our episode this week. Thank you so much for submitting your questions and your pitch. I hope you were able to see the difference between a TV pitch and a feature pitch. Send in your questions and your pitches. Please submit a brief intro, a title, a logline, and a very brief synopsis. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. Keep writing. Talk to you soon. Bye.